Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBO welterweight champion of the world. It is, of course, Mr. Jeff Horn. Jeff, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Joey. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. So, Jeff, I want to start this interview the same as I do with all my other interviews of this nature. Where did the journey first ever begin for you? What's your earliest memory of first ever lacing up a pair of gloves or going to a boxing gym?
The first ever was going to my trainer's house, which was Glenn Rushton, and it wasn't really a gym that we went to. It was his house, but his house was a massive mansion of a place, and we were thinking, is this where the boxing club is? And we walk up, and lo and behold, a light in the corner on the side of the house, and we walk in, and there's a heap of people doing martial arts and boxing.
There we go. And also, I should mention as well, you were a late starter to the sport. You got into it, if I'm not mistaken, in the very first place, due to being a victim of bullying, Jeff. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I got in a fair few fights. Well, not a heap of fights, but a couple of fights at school, and I didn't really go too well in those either. And I thought when I started going out to nightclubs and things, that people can be very silly, especially with alcohol, and I was going to learn how to protect myself and my girlfriend at the time, and I went to the nearest martial arts gym to learn some self-defense.
And obviously that snowballed. You, like many other fighters, obviously started off as an amateur. And I'd like to ask this question also. What was your highlight moment of your amateur career? I know you boxed a bunch of great fighters as an amateur, but I'm going to take a wild guess and say favourite memory or highlight moment had to be representing Australia at those 2012 Olympic Games in my hometown of London. Am I right?
Yes, you're right. That was a momentous, I guess, occasion in my career, and it was a highlight. It was definitely the highlight of my amateur career, fighting for my country and doing pretty well at it, but didn't quite get a medal at those Olympics.
Yeah, it was a tough year. You made your pro debut in the end, March the 1st, 2013, a Friday night in Victoria. You boxed a guy by the name of Jody Allen. You won the fight by TKO in round 2. What can you remember of your debut? Do you remember maybe having any nerves?
I can remember being nervous, but I was confident as well because I was an Olympian and I'd done all these things with the amateurs as well. So, but I guess the lesson I learned in that very first fight was how tough the pros were. That's what Jody Allen taught me. I punched him with everything, and somehow the guy just kept on standing, and I didn't know how his lights weren't out. So, he was incredibly tough, and I was like, okay, now I know that the toughness that some of these pros are going to have.
And I want to get inside my virtual time machine now and jump forward to April 27th, 2016, a Wednesday night in South Brisbane. You were 13-0 with one draw at the time. You boxed former two-weight world champion Randall Bailey. You had him down in the second. He had you down in the third. Ultimately, though, Randall retired on his stall after 7 rounds. We had Randall on the show a couple years ago, and he said, yeah, I pulled myself out. I'd had enough in the corner. It was his final career fight. But talk me through that fight, obviously going down for the first time in your career and just getting in with a former world champion who could punch like crazy, Jeff.
Yeah, look, I'd seen a bit of Randall Bailey, and I guess like when people watch me on footage, I don't look at that superb probably to watch boxing style wise. We know Devin Haney or Lomachenko or anyone like that, but so I thought I would easily be able to outbox him, but he was just awkward, and I used my awkwardness then against him, and was able to. I felt like Randall Bailey's style is quite slow, but he's very articulate with what punches he throws, and he's just watching very carefully for that knockout shot, which is why he's called the Knockout King. And I was able to maintain my rhythm. He did get me in the third round, but I was able to regather back and recover and keep doing what I was doing. And I think the peppering him to the body definitely made Randall Bailey quit on his stool. I shouldn't say quit, retire on his stool because I guess he was just copping too much of those body shots.
You say there that you shouldn't say quit. I gave him a way out when I was interviewing him and we spoke about the fight. I said, your corner pulled you out. He went, no. Correction, I didn't want to carry on. So I think it's clear. The stoppage...
Yeah, but like it's I guess, as a boxer, it's a well-known thing that you don't like saying people quit at something. And I guess he retired on his stool. He knew he wasn't going to get the victory, and he knew he was just going to go through some more punishment. So he did the smart move and to say, I'm not going to get him. I can feel I'm not going to get this guy. I'm just going to pull the pin now.
Absolutely. And that stoppage against Randall Bailey was your first stoppage of a 3-fight stoppage streak. And a fun fact is that the only other time you stopped 3 guys in a row was your first 3 fights as a pro. So, yeah, the first against Randall Bailey, the second against Rico Muller, and the third against Ali Funica. This then leads us beautifully into your next fight. It's a date I'm sure you'll never forget. July the 2nd, 2017. At home in Brisbane, in the opposite corner, stood a man who is the epitome of a boxing legend, Mr. Manny Pacquiao. The fight was for his WBO welterweight world title. The fight goes 12 rounds. You win unanimously. Talk me through that unbelievable performance and, just how it felt to finally become a world champion against a fighter like Manny.
Yeah. Look, I knew I was the bigger frame going into that boxing fight. I knew I was bigger than Manny Pacquiao. He's a smaller but explosive guy, and I knew what strategy I needed to have to take his advantage away from him. And he was that explosiveness that he has. I was able to smother him and make sure that he didn't have the space to use his powerful legs and shoot at me. So I took care of that, and I just made sure I was super fit and I was able to keep going at Manny Pacquiao, and I had that belief because Glenn taught me to believe in myself. My goal when I very first started was become a world champion, and that was the mega opportunity I got against a superstar like Manny Pacquiao.
I remember watching the fight live, and during the first round, I remember actually putting a bet on it for you to win. I just had this feeling. It was about 30 seconds into the fight, and I just had this feeling you were going to do it. One thing I want to touch on as well, I felt that your trainer, Glenn Rushton, was excellent in the corner for the entire fight. And also, it was brilliant when referee Mark Nelson came over to your corner late on in the fight between rounds and mentioned something about stopping the fight. And Glenn said something along the lines of, "We're winning the fight, you idiot." That was a mad moment, Jeff, as well.
Yes, it was. I guess he was calm in the corner for pretty much that whole fight. Kept me calm as well, and I guess he was confident as well because he felt like I was winning the fight. Like I was doing exactly what we'd trained to do and what I envisioned what I could do to Manny Pacquiao, and he was like, "Yeah, you're winning this fight, so like, well done." So I guess that kept him calm in there as well, and but we did think that we needed to stop Manny Pacquiao probably to get the victory, even though I know a lot of judges out there don't like me really saying it, but we know what boxing can be like sometimes, and I thought I needed to knock Manny Pacquiao out to get that victory, and I was standing there at the end of the fight not expecting my name to be read out, so I was absolutely on top of the world when I heard NU.
And you say there that you were on top of the world, Jeff. Describe for me, if you can, that feeling and maybe how life changed, if it did, after that.
Yeah, look, I had achieved my goal. Like, my life goal as a kid was to become a famous, athlete. When I was younger, it was to be a soccer player, and I did that for 12 years. That didn't go any good. So the next thing that kind of came into my life was boxing, and I was able to achieve my dream of becoming the best in the world at that time, and I was very proud of myself, and I can remember getting goosebumps and being just so happy when the decision was announced, and it was a dream come true.
And I think while we're on the topic of the fight, I always felt that you won. I just want to put it out there. I always felt that you won. A lot of people didn't, but I always felt you were deserving of the victory. In some parts of the world, there was outrage with the decision. But how was it actually received in Australia, Jeff?
Yeah, it was good here. A lot of people in Australia actually watched the fight, and they were cheering me on and thinking that I was doing well in the fight. So I guess when the judges even look back at it and go and rescore the fight, they go, well, yeah, he's controlling the fight. He's throwing the bigger punches, and yeah, even though Manny Pacquiao might have got me in round 9 with a couple of good shots, a couple of good shots doesn't change 9 rounds of boxing.
No, I agree. And I say there that some people were outraged. I'm going to exclude Australia for a moment, but do you ever feel like you were given enough credit for beating a legend like Manny by maybe some of the other fans, not Australian fans though?
Look, I normally didn't. Anyone that I kind of spoke to would be fine to my face and congratulate me and stuff, except for Teddy Atlas, especially straight after the fight. But yeah, everyone seemed to be quite happy with it, and happy with me as champion. And it was only really the online world that kind of was spiraling out of control and saying that I shouldn't be world champion. And
your first title defence took place back in Brisbane against the UK's very own Gary Corcoran. Gary Corcoran, friend of the show. December 13th, 2017 was the day, a Wednesday evening. You won the contest in the end, in round 11, a stoppage. Talk us through that fight, my man. Gary was a tough guy. He was a game fighter.
Oh, yeah, he was a very tough guy. He came to fight, that's for sure. He was a tough test for me. After Manny Pacquiao, he was a bigger guy, and he had probably similar. He was similar. I guess he was the same weight class as me, but he was pretty similar exactly to how big I was, and he was a good boxer as well. So it was a tough fight until it lasted. I got him with a couple of good shots, and eventually got him.
And during that time in the UK, there were strong rumours at the time of a fight between you and Bradley Skeet. How close, though, was that actually to happening, Jeff? Because in the UK, we heard strong rumours, but again, we're so far away from Australia. Just speaking to you now, I wondered how close that fight ever was to actually taking place.
Look, I do remember Bradley's name coming up and talking about it at one stage. I don't know if it was instead of Gary Corcoran that we were going to be going Skeet. Maybe it was close at one point that we were going to be going that way, but I can't really remember exactly kind of how things kind of ran back at that time, but I do remember Bradley's name coming up as well, and as a potential contender.
Yeah, no, for sure. And your second defence of the title came on June 9th, 2018 at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. You stepped in with the undefeated former WBO lightweight and undisputed super lightweight champion of the world. A man that, for me, what are we now, 5 years later, is the pound-for-pound king, Terence Crawford. You sadly lost the fight by TKO in the 9th. The 9th round was not your luckiest of rounds. It seemed to be a pattern in your career. You were dethroned in Crawford's first fight at the weight. Look what he's gone on to achieve, though, Jeff. I think for me, there's zero shame in losing to Crawford. But just talk me through the fight. Another night sharing the ring with a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, look, I thought I was going to be, like I thought with Manny Pacquiao, I thought I was going to be able to out-muscle Terence Crawford in there and break him down over the distance. But he's just a sharpshooter, Crawford, and his boxing IQ is very, very high, and he was able to pick me to pieces, I guess, through that fight. And, he just eventually got me with a couple too many and was able to stop me in that 9th round. And I'm definitely very happy for Crawford, and definitely cheering him on as to take the bigger and better fights out there. And he's already proved he's an absolute champion, and I'm sure he will be remembered for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. And just 5 months later, you're back in Brisbane fighting at pretty much middleweight. I think it may have been a catchweight fight when you boxed former 2-time WBA super middleweight world champion Anthony Mundine. You get the stoppage in the very first round when you dropped him hard. You could hear his head smashing against the canvas. He tried to get back up. The referee waved it off. It was a short fight, but tell us about that one as well, Jeff.
Yeah, look, Mundine's a big name, definitely here in Australia. He likes to cause a lot of mayhem before the fight with things that he says and what he says about his opponent as well. But Mundine was a nice guy away from the cameras and the microphones. So I didn't have anything bad against Mundine. He was a good guy behind closed doors, and I just got him with a really good shot in that very first round, and it was just a sweet time shot that landed around his temple, and he was down and out.
I remember before the fight, it was a little bit distasteful in the build-up. It's good to hear that behind closed doors he's maybe not that bad. But yeah, I was going to ask, did it make the victory even sweeter? Because I believe he said you were only popular because of your skin colour.
Yeah, but that's how Mundine's kind of been, I guess, throughout his whole career, and I think he probably believes a little bit as well that there's favouritism with white people, but Australians are a very multicultural place, and we treat everyone as equal as possible. And I guess Mundine had his views, but some of them are, I think, a little bit not quite accurate.
Yeah, and 9 months later, you're back out again, this time in Bendigo, this time properly at middleweight. You boxed Michael Zarafa. August 31st, 2019 was the date. You were down in the 2nd, you got back up, you were down again in the 9th round, once again that torrid 9th round, and again you got back up, but you end up getting stopped in that same round. Talk me through that one, Jeff. It left a lot of people thinking maybe the move from welterweight to middleweight was too great a jump.
Yes, and I think those people might be right by saying that. I think that weight jump, I definitely realised the weight with Michael Zarafa, that he was a bigger and stronger guy, and those extra few kilos were definitely an advantage for him, and that's why I guess I couldn't really get him, and I thought I was going to be able to get. This is always my mindset when I've had a loss. When I thought it was going to be an easier fight than it was, well, like what I thought of Crawford, I thought he was a smaller guy. I was going to be able to outmuscle him. Didn't happen. I thought Michael Zarafa probably wasn't as good as a boxer as he was. I thought it was going to have too much experience for him. He beat me as well, and that's basically been how my career's gone. If I've underestimated an opponent just a little bit, that's when I've had my losses.
And what's crazy is the rematch with Michael Zarafa took place December 18th of that year. So just 4 months later, which looking back now seems a bit crazy. Back in Brisbane too, this time it was you who scored 2 knockdowns, both in that crazy 9th round that we just cannot forget. You were cut, you were covered in blood. Zarafa was coming on strong in that round. You took a lot of big shots, but you managed to land that peach of a right hand to put him down. He gets back up, you put him down again. Incredible drama in that round, and obviously you go on to win a majority decision and avenge that loss to Zarafa. I mean, what a fight. Talk me through that, Jeff.
Oh, look, it was an absolute brutal fight, that's for sure. But I knew I had it in me to beat Michael Zarafa, even though I guess if you're talking these days with the hunger that I've gotten in the sport, I don't think I'd be able to beat Marcus Raffa now. But look, he was definitely a superb fighter, and I definitely underestimated him and how physical he can be in there. And he taught me a valuable lesson once again.
And your final fight took place 8 months later, August 26th, 2020, against the undefeated and future WBO super welterweight world champion Tim Tszyu. You were down in the 3rd and the 6th before, in the end, not coming out for the 9th round. Talk us through that one briefly, Jeff. I guess maybe Tim was just a bit too fresh.
Yeah, that's the same thing, underestimating him, thinking I was going to be able to outmuscle Tim Tszyu, and he's definitely got some great boxing skills in him, that's for sure, and he was able to wear me down. He's got some excellent body shots. He punished me there brutally throughout the fight, which definitely exhausted me by my round 9 kind of time, and he was able to get rid of me as well.
And some fighters retire immediately after their last fight. You took a long, long time to formally retire. Why was that, Jeff?
Yeah.
Were you contemplating coming back during that time, maybe?
I was. If I had a good enough offer to come back, I even had said if someone offers me over $1 million to come back and fight again, there was potential for me to come back. But I always had people either offer me $1 million to come back and fight Marcus Raffa after having a couple of years off, and I saw that as a disaster waiting to happen if I was to do that. So that was a no, and then I got an offer to fight someone else, another random kind of fighter below the top level, and that was for $750,000, just chopping me short of my $1 million call out. And so I was like, no, I'm not fighting if you're not offering me $1 million.
And if I'm not mistaken, one of the reasons for your retirement was memory issues. Talk to me about that if you can, Jeff.
Look, I've had a useless memory for my whole life, to be honest. And people put more on this than there probably is. And I'm just kind of, I forget things. I'm very, I guess, chilled and calm person and relaxed, and probably for that reason I forget a lot of things. And but there were some little things that I was forgetting around that time that I was like, I probably shouldn't forget this, but maybe it was because my life was just so busy and it was so hectic and so many things going on, and I was forgetting things, and I feel like that might have been a reason towards it.
So you retired with a record of 20 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. It's important to note that the 3 losses, 2 were to future Hall of Famers, 1 obviously to Tim Tszyu, who's still undefeated, now a reigning world champion. Who knows, he could wind up in the Hall of Fame someday too. Time for some quick fire questions before we let you go, Jeff. I've got about 6 more to come. Favourite win of your career?
Manny Pacquiao, for sure.
Okay. Well, when I say quick fire, it doesn't mean you completely don't have to expand. You can if you want.
Okay. Manny Pacquiao, because he's someone that I looked up to in the sport from the very beginning. He's an absolute legend and nice guy. Doesn't normally trash talk or anything. So I was very similar to Manny Pacquiao in that way, and treating other people the way that I'd like to be treated. And he was just an all-time great guy and a superb fighter, and I had the pleasure to share the ring with him and get the victory against him.
Hardest puncher that you ever shared a ring with?
That would have to be Randall Bailey. That shot that he got me with, he has definitely some lead in his hands, that's for sure.
And best opponent all round that you shared a ring with?
I would have to say that's Terence Crawford. He was very good boxing skills. Was able to walk me into a lot of punches, and as a small guy, he definitely made his power, I guess, known to me by making me walk, being smart, making me walk onto his shots.
Yeah, tremendous fighter. Was there anyone that you'd have liked to have had the chance to fight, but it didn't quite come off?
I did. I called out straight after my Manny Pacquiao fight. I called out Floyd Mayweather for a fight in hope to have a mega fight there against him, and he wasn't interested in that. So, but that's what all fighters want. They want to fight the money man, which is Money Mayweather, and that was my next target, was to fight the all-time great Floyd Mayweather. So, but that didn't come to fruition, and now I just went on to do my business.
And my next question, I love it when I ask this question to fighters and they respond with the answer no, but I don't know what you're going to say. Were there any regrets? Are there any regrets if you could go back in time and change something? Would you?
Look, I guess, like I was telling you before, if I was to not underestimate an opponent, I might have gone on to do bigger and better things in the sport again. So I didn't underestimate Manny Pacquiao, that's for sure, and I got that victory. And if I didn't underestimate Michael Zraffa, I might have had a massive fight against Murata over in Japan. Got some big money for that fight, and then the same with Tim Tszyu. I'd be going on doing bigger things now if I was able to not underestimate him as well. So who knows what would happen? But I regret at times in my career underestimating opponents.
Yeah, that's not the worst regret ever. So that's not a bad thing, I don't think. I'm going to put you on the spot slightly here. I like to ask this question to everyone that we speak to from overseas, Jeff. Favorite UK fighter, any era? Who springs to mind?
I'd have to say it would have to be Amir Khan or Kell Brook, one of those two guys. They were in my weight divisions. I had eyes on them for quite some time, and I would have loved to have got a fight against one of those two, but it just wasn't able to happen. And yeah,
two great fighters at the time for sure. And I want to ask you as well, Jeff, what are you up to now? What keeps you busy now, my friend?
I got a program that we run in schools all over Queensland and Australia. It's called Bullyproof Australia, and our goal is to change lives and help save lives against bullying. And we teach kids the skills and things that they need to be able to manage life, to manage conflict in life, because a lot of the time people don't know what to do, and just simple conflict situations can turn into bullying, and then you have kids taking their own life, and that's the worst thing that can happen. I could only imagine losing my children to bullying, and I don't want to let it happen to anyone. So we're doing the best we can to put this program through all schools in the country and hopefully all over the world.
And credit to you, my friend. That's a beautiful thing. I'm so happy that someone with your platform, with your life experience even, is channeling into something like this. It's a remarkable thing. So pat on the back from me there. I want to ask you the last real question, and it's an important question, Jeff. Are you a happy man? Looking back now, 2023, coming to the end of the year, but are you happy? You happy in life right now, Jeff?
Yeah. Yes, I'm very happy. I've got a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful children, loving family around me and friends. I've got massive supporters over my career that have turned into great friends as well. And look, I couldn't be happier, to be honest. I'm on top of the world, and I'm just loving life at the moment, and wouldn't change anything.
I'm so pleased for you, because a lot of fighters, especially ex-fighters that I speak to, are not too pleased with the life they have right now, and it's sad, but I'm happy to hear that you're in a great place. Just before we wrap it up, Jeff, if you just want to sign out this interview with any closing words to the listeners, if you want to send a message, particularly to UK listeners, for guys that have supported you throughout your career, or if you just want to finish with any message, the floor is yours.
I'd just like to say thank you for all the support that people have shown me in the past as a professional fighter, and I guess wish everyone else the success in their lives, and just, I guess, keep an eye out for Bullyproof Australia or just the Bullyproof program that will be coming all over the world someday soon. And we're going to help change the lives of our children and our futures.
What a beautiful thing. Listen, Jeff, it's been an absolute honour speaking with you this week. Thanks for walking down memory lane with me. I want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope we can speak again someday, my friend.
Thanks, Joey. See you, mate.